Let me start with a question. How would it be if several universities offered the same seminar at the same time and the students networked across locations to do so? In the 2019-20 winter semester, even before the corona pandemic, some colleagues and I did just that. And that's what I want to talk about to you today. So, my name, as you heard, is David Lohner. I work and do my PhD in education at the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. And I have always had great fun teaching. So this is the seminar I want to talk about today, and it's called Teaching and Learning Under the Conditions of Digitalization and Digitality, or L2D2 for short, and it grew out of a Twitter conversation. Christian Albrecht from VU Erlangen-Nürnberg asked in a tweet whether a cross-university seminar in the field of media didactics could be an exciting project. Several people responded to this tweet, which ended up being the team of lecturers. As for the title of this seminar, a phonetic similarity of the name of a small droid in a famous space saga cannot be denied, but there's no more profound meaning behind it. So the original title of L2D2 is the abbreviation for the German title, and L2D2 stands in particular for the distinction between the terms digitalization and digitality. While the term digitization is commonly used to describe the leading media change from books to computers, digitality characterizes the accompanying social changes. The process of digitalization and the complex technologies associated with it make it possible for more and more people to participate in cultural debates in a variety of ways. If we want to understand digital media not only as tools or instruments for teaching and learning, but also and especially consider their culture shaping and disruptive effects, this has far-reaching consequences on the discourse on education. Discussions of, here are those points. Discussions about digitalization and education must no longer revolve around considerations of equipping schools and universities with software and hardware and their added value. They must consider the cultural changes under the sign of digitalization. We must critically question old patterns of action and thinking and consider how we can constructively use these effects of digital change. The seminar outlined here attempts to meet this demand. So, for the contents of L2D2, the seminar plan in the winter semester of 2019 followed a line from the general to the specific. At the beginning, we introduced basic concepts of how teaching and learning scenarios work, what changes occur due to increasing computerization and mediatization of social structures. The transformation process from a printed book society to a computer society especially affects educational context, as they are characterized by a complex interplay of information and social interaction. Both aspects are subject to enormous changes due to digitalization. Information is available in digital form and can thus be accessed and used flexibly in almost unlimited time and space. Interactions can be virtualized and are no longer bound to temporal or spatial proximity. Furthermore, different competence models for digital literacy or media competence are topics within the seminar. Their difference and similarities are discussed, illuminated, and we asked how these models can be applied in pedagogical practices in each case, including the Dagstuhl triangle, the competence framework, DCOMP-EDU, models for pedagogical competences, and of course the strategy paper Education in a Digital World of the Conference of Ministers of Education and Cultural Affairs in Germany. In further sessions, the students collect and analyze numerous arguments for and against the use of digital media in schools or concrete methods of digitally supported educational contexts, such as the use of explainer videos, and discuss them. Especially due to the composition of the overall group of all locations, insights to the perspectives of different subjects and disciplines arise here. We provide an introduction to basic knowledge of information technologies by using a self-learning module on algorithms. The transfer of the content acquired online into the student's living environment takes place in the attendance phases. So the seminar was a kind of blended learning setting. We formulate learning objectives for all sessions which are located at different levels of Bloom's learning objective taxonomies. Overall, the aim is to show students how complex the use of digital media for educational purposes can be, which factors need to be considered, and how teaching learning processes are fundamentally change under the conditions of digitalization and digitality. And since the target group is mainly students of the teaching profession, these tools have particular relevance insofar as they are directly applicable to teaching situations that students will encounter, for example, in their school internship, or especially in their later professional life. So, how do we proceed? As a team of lecturers, we connected in a few video conferences, at that time without Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or other modern tools, but with a now somewhat old-fashioned Adobe Connect to work out a seminar plan. And we designed the resulting session plans as well as teaching and learning materials for the seminar as open educational resources to enable easy reuse. To be able to exchange questions from the different disciplines, all participants, teachers and students, communicate and collaborate via web-based instant messaging services, social media, web conferences, and file sharing services. In each seminar session, there are phases of internal as well as cross-university working. So for each session, we provided materials and assignments online for the students by the seminar leaders of the respective locations. In addition, one person from the teaching team prepares media-based input for each of the specific sessions. For example, webinars, explanatory videos, or self-learning units. The students discussed then in the seminar, thanks to various communication and collaboration tools, these contents, and feed the results in the form of questions and impulses into the public non-university discussion on Twitter under the hashtag L2D2. The exchange via Twitter in particular enables students to also communicate directly with the authors of the received works. Never in our history have experts been so easily and directly involved in educational processes as is possible through new media. The phases of cross-site exchange aim to take up and think further about problems or findings from the respective sessions. In this way, the students gain insights into the work results of the other locations and critically engage with them. In this way, the spatial boundaries of each seminar participant's own place of study dissolve and merge into the digital, so that the learning scenario promotes competencies that are described in relevant models for media competence, not only in that they are the subject of the seminar, but especially in that they are inherent in the cross-university format and thus prepare the seminar participants for their professional future in an increasingly networked world. So, now that the seminar has finished, we received, of course, some feedback from the students. And the evaluation of the seminar by the students shows that both the content and the format of L2D2 were received positively overall. The biggest point of criticism raised by the students concerns the number of tools used in the technical or for the technical implementation of the seminar. So the number of tools, of digital tools used was too high, and additionally new for a large part of the students, so that they first had to familiarize themselves with new software. In addition to the university's own learning management system, we used the following tools in L2D2. Twitter for public exchange, Adobe Connect for synchronous communication, Slack for communicating or coordinating group work, Google Documents for collaborative creation of documents, Padlet for collecting small contributions and discussions. In addition, there were special tools for individual sessions. For example, for analyzing, just one second, for analyzing videos on YouTube or other formats. So, what did we learn from this? Just a second. unfortunately, we have not been able to repeat the seminar in exactly this form, as the corona pandemic demanded more work from us than usual in the coordination for such a cross-university seminar at this very time, and is very time consuming. Especially the routine of using digital tools has changed massively in the past 2 semesters for all of us, I think. Here something is going very wrong at this time. Just wait a second, I have to organize my digital tools here, and this is a perfect example for one of these lecturers who may seem very competent with using this digital media, but then hassle if they put in too much complexity. All right, so I have to improvise here a little bit. I hope it's not that bad overall. Okay, so however, I was able to further develop this seminar at the KIT in teacher training and continue the core elements, namely the content exchange, the content of the seminar and the exchange via Twitter. In any case, it can be said that such cooperative projects require one thing above all: a lot of time. And unfortunately, this is not always available for teaching in the daily routine at a university. Therefore, I appeal to all of you. If you have the opportunity for such a project, take the time for it. It can give rise to entirely new impulses for your work and your research. You can build networks through such projects and, as my talk here today shows, win a whole new audience for your work. L2D2 was not only a new experience for the students. We in the teaching team also grew with the seminar. After all, it was an ideal exercise for teaching under the conditions of the corona pandemic. To remember, this took place in the winter semester of 2019, so it was one semester before we all went to the home office. And yeah, opening up your teaching in a digital way, learning from and with colleagues from different universities is very inspiring. You get to see what colleagues are dealing with professionally and how they teach in a very intimate way, because you are there live, so to speak. No handbook and no conference lecture can replace this experience. For L2D2 in particular, public networking via Twitter offers the opportunity to gather external impulses and to continue internal seminar discussions in the digital public sphere. Close cooperation among the lecturers is just as important as detailed planning of the content. Although the content can be modular and is based on the teaching and research expertise of the participating lecturers, it should be coordinated in such a way that the overall picture for the course is coherent. Overall, different focal points of individual locations can be played out as an advantage for the entire group, so that a cross-university like L2D2 can only benefit from the synergy of these diverse perspectives. So, what do these experiences mean for my teaching, and perhaps also for the teaching you offer at your respective universities? I think that the main thing to deduce from this is that in 2021 we should no longer be thinking about whether to integrate new media or digital media into our teaching. The question should be how we do it. There's no denying that social media in particular are part of the reality of our students' lives. So why shouldn't we make also use of this fact for teaching? Especially the aspect that you can exchange information with experts internationally quickly is an enormous advantage. We can and should draw on the knowledge of others to provide our students with the best possible education. I also see the fact that we teach together with others as a consistent further development of teaching. This forces us to think and talk about our content and methods ourselves, before we go into the lecture hall with it. This makes goals clearer and processes more transparent. We should set an example for the students of how cooperation can also work in academic contexts. After all, we are preparing them for a world that is becoming more and more complex and is increasingly unrealistic to work on a project or overcome a problem all by yourself. But this also changes the way we see ourselves in terms of our roles. We are no longer the custodians of knowledge. With few exceptions, there will always be someone who knows better, more comprehensively, or for longer about something. We need to see ourselves in the seminar room as the ones who arrange the world's knowledge for our students. Or to put it with a metaphor, we are not only a one-man band. We are the conductors who orchestrate this symphony of knowledge for our students. My colleagues and I started this 2 years ago, and the corona pandemic has shown that there are now more than enough technical solutions for such approaches. It is now up to us to develop the necessary concepts and to realize that a cultural change is needed. We have to give teaching a higher priority because implementing such concepts is costly and time-consuming. In this sense, I call on all of you to deal openly with the new media. Dare to learn something new, to become a learner again. Don't just conduct, listen. Thank you.